Let's talk about Tom Brady. Tom Brady points to his family, fatherhood, when it comes to a decision about his potential retirement, which I got to tell you, I'm going to actually read between the lines here in a second, but pretty cool that you can play for as long as he has and has been the all-time like greatest maybe like athlete we've ever seen with his resume. And you can be like, yeah, I've gotten so old at this that it's like, it's just time for me to go be with my family. Like I'm tired of sacrifice everything for them. So,
what's weird is like how Tom Brady's kids are pretty young.
Yeah, some of them are. Some of them are.
But he definitely has a kid who's younger than I do, and I guess I'm only 5 years younger than him. Never mind.
Well, but he's got kids from Bridget Moynihan, that relationship, right?
Yes, yeah, or I think one from Bridget Moynihan, who is the oldest, and then multiple kids with. Yeah, I guess when you have that second, yeah, that's true. That makes sense. I would say that reading between the lines here, Tom Brady is setting the table to let everyone appreciate whatever his decision ultimately is. But at the end of the day, he's really just placating his wife.
You're the worst. Is AK somewhere around? Is that why you're saying this? He's just like sitting right outside the door.
Tag my wife on Twitter either. I mean, like I think that Giselle has wanted him to retire for, gosh, literally over a decade.
She said after last year, right? Wasn't she recorded as saying like, "What else do you have to prove?" And he came back this year.
She put she backed a bus over Wes Welker at the 2011 Super Bowl, and I think she's wanted him to get out for a while because he's done everything he could possibly do, and now it's kind of like I think he could be talked into it, but oldest kid, by the way, 14, youngest is 9. So actually his youngest is 1 year older than Robbie. But I think it's a lot of, I'm 44. I don't know if I'm going to play because I'm 44.
Right.
I'm old. I have kids. I want to be able to walk away when I can walk away. And I think it's more like I want to take some time to reflect.
I think it was interesting that Bruce Arians came out right away and said, "Hey, I'm coming back next year." It's like, really? Do you want to come back if Tom's not coming back? Like,
I really didn't like being in that booth with Trent Green.
It's like, I mean, do we want to like give it a beat? Like, I mean, by the way, on that note, Gronk says he's unsure if he's coming back in 2022. Probably the least shocking news, considering if what Aaron Rodgers does is correlated to what Devontae Adams does. I would say the stronger correlation is Gronk and Tom Brady. Like if Gronk doesn't come back,
he would come back without Brady, which is like, no, you won't. Like you're not coming back without Brady. You already left once with Brady.
Yeah.
Mainly because they tried to trade you to the Lions. You're like, no, you're not doing that. I'll retire.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's no read between the lines there. He's just not coming back if Brady's not. That's the bottom line. He'll move on with life, and he's done great off the field. He'll go back in the TV or
just go back to doing what he was doing when he was retired the first time.
Yeah, like running like party cruises and stuff. That I mean, maybe not during COVID, but actually knowing him,
cruises.
Yeah, maybe during COVID. At this point. All right, last one.
What do you think, Brady? What do you think Tom Brady does?
I'm leaning towards thinking he's going to retire. There's I'd heard from someone in the organization that there's a lot of people there who weren't normally there before the game. And it was a bit surprising. So even before the game, he was kind of contemplating whether or not this indeed would be it for him this season. So,
and he did give that. It was very weird, by the way, having Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth during the day on a Sunday. Like, and Al Michaels is like, "Well, tonight, Chris, we've got to." It's like it's 3 o'clock.
Yeah, it's 3 o'clock.
It's actually noon your time. Oh no, I guess it was in Tampa. So it was 3 o'clock. Yeah. But they had they put up a quote during the game that Brady's like, "I'd love to go out with the Super Bowl. I know it might not always happen, and this might not be the year," which is like, you told Al and Chris that before the game?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, their defense didn't play together until this last divisional game. Like, it's kind of crazy to think like, hey, run it back, but like no one was able to run it back together, at least on defense. But I think it's a part of it too, though, right? Is you ran it back because you won a Super Bowl and you could. It's a lot harder to sell to guys now when you look at it and say, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not sure if we can do it again. Looking at kind of how things went last year, and then, the report that there was some turmoil, right? Levante David talked about that. I think that had to do with Antonio Brown, but the reality is, like, I think now, like, the guys who are young enough that are going to become free agents, like a Chris Godwin, even though he's coming off a knee injury, they got to go get paid. They got to go get that money while they still can.
Well, I mean, there's a chance Godwin's not back until, you never know with these knee injuries. He could be back he could be ready for free agency. He was franchise tagged. I would doubt they'll tag him again because he's, ACL. So if you're Tom Brady, you're like, okay, my offensive line is intact, but Wirfs got injured late. I don't know what his deal is. Although you would think he'd be able to play. Mike Evans is still there, of course, but AB's gone. He embarrassed me on his way out. So like, am I going to come back with Scotty Miller, Tyler Johnson, a half invested Gronk, and Mike Evans? Because that sounds a lot less explosive.
No, last time I was in New England.
Right. Yeah. So I think, you think we'll get Aaron Rodgers, and I would also point out that Brady's, the way that it came out, which is what, you get from guys like Tom Brady and from Sean Payton. We're very similar to Sean Payton. It bubbled up a little bit beneath the surface, and then it starts to report out during, like leading into the final week of this, It just the signs point towards it, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's plenty of time to see. That's where I'm kind of leaning, thinking about all this and then what he's done at this point in time. And he always said he wanted to play till he's 45. Well, he'll be 45 here soon, or this year. So